Hello, everybody, and welcome to our CCA broadcast here on SplatoonTourney. My name is FalcoFlyer. I'm joined here, as always, with Saf and Toma. Happy Sunday night. We missed you guys last week, but we are happy to be here tonight for our Division 3 matchup between the University of Tennessee Knoxville Utopian Tidal Krakens versus Kutztown Golden Barracudas. This is going to be a very fun one. One of these teams, the University of Tennessee Knoxville, 4-0 in their season, looking to close it out and sweep the groups at 5-0. Where the Golden Barracudas, 1-1 so far. You know, they have a few reschedules, but hoping to have a major upset in this match. Saf and Toma, how are we tonight? Saf, I'll start with you.
You know, things are good. Things are great. Things are dandy. Things are fine. It was so beautiful here over in Seattle today on the West Coast. The sun is shining. The crops are out. I actually was just gifted a tree by my neighbor. Do you know what a monkey tree is?
No.
Like they have really long branches and like little pokey, like succulent, like leaves. Anyway, I was just gifted a tree by my neighbor. Gonna have to figure out what to do with it and replant it somewhere. So good day for me.
And a very good weekend for you too, because you finished the Seattle stream, the Sea Battle stream here on SplatoonTourney earlier today, and this is your first stream that you did in a long time. So props to you. I'm very, very happy with that. You did such a great job, of course. And Toma, how are we doing tonight? Should be a very good matchup between these two teams.
Yes, Falco, I'm doing super great. I got my little super commentator buddy here. Maybe we'll have a little bit of a tri-cast going on, at least until her food bowl goes off, and then she will be rushing away off into the distance to go get some dinner. But I'm super happy to be here. Like you said, we have two really great teams up here tonight. UT Knoxville, Utopian Tidal Krakens are up 4-0 in their sets, like you said, versus the KU Golden Barracudas. Only played 2 sets so far, so hoping to find a few more wins under their belt.
That is right. And taking a look at some of their keys to victories here, I mean, the Utopian Tidal Krakens, the keys to victories that they have listed here are throw bombs, get special, and don't get political in voice chat, which, you know, you don't need that during you don't need that when you're trying to play. But hey, that brought them so far to a 4-0 season, again trying to close it out here. Whereas the Golden Barracudas, again, they had a bye, or they had a reschedule, but their keys to victories for tonight are coordinate specials, take team fights, and bombs. You want them? So both of these teams, Saf and Toma, we can probably be expecting a lot of bombs.
Yeah, you definitely can be expecting a lot of bombs out of them. I'm excited to see what they're going to bring out. And, you know, Mahi is a map where bombs can definitely make a lot of impact, especially, you know, you got some suction or fizzy bombs that can take up a lot of that zone. It's really, really small and concentrated, especially when the water level's up, and it can be really kind of claustrophobic, Saf.
Yeah, but you know, you have to trust that even without sub power up, that the throws are correct and that you're going to make a statement with where you want your bomb to go. And speaking of sub power up, Koreki, actually, if you take a look at their team tag there, they're actually on the team sub power up, which has many other folks from the CCA league as well. So that's kind of fun to see somebody that's really involved with the other folks of the CCA team. But you know what? Looking at Mahi Mahi here, already it's a pretty stalemated game, not really too much scoring to be happening in these first couple of seconds here. Just kind of a tit-for-tat fight at the moment. Finally, though, UT Knoxville is going to be making some headway here, finally getting past down the 80-point mark here, and actually giving KU Golden Barracudas a run for their money, as they are not really finding any footwork to get out of the spawning area here. Not a lot of ink.
They definitely are not. You kind of saw Koreki in that really good aggressive position, Saf, and you had that blob lobber that was able to provide a lot of additional pressure from a much safer distance. You see there, kind of just the KU Golden Barracudas struggling to break in there, trying to use that Booyah bomb, but not going to be able to find any picks or really any space forward with it. They are on the respawn here. They have everything up. They've got this cooler out from the zap. It's kind of a now or never play, as these 12 seconds kind of are counting down left on this zone. The Reef Slider going in. We both know that's a great form of, you know, pressure onto that zone, and they do get the flip with it. Saf just in time to be able to keep them alive in this game.
Do you think that, like, when you yourself, like, as a person driving a Reef Slider, do you think you would do it one-handed, or would you have two hands on the steering wheel, 10 and 2?
I definitely am a one-handed driver. It's just a lot more comfortable for me, Saf. And I want to feel that wind breezing through my hair. I gotta have that extra hand so I can just be super extra about it all.
Well, fair enough. I mean, but according to UT Knoxville, the Reef Slider isn't going to have much effect here as we go into another neutral zone. Like, initially a neutral zone, they had it just for a little bit, but then taking it back once again, and then also just literally repeating what they did about 30 seconds prior and taking the zone back after the Reef Slider. So clearly UT Knoxville is not really being deterred by that as we are entering the last few seconds of their penalty here and 5 more seconds onto the game timer. And I mean, again, look at that just from this game view. It's been a consistent lockout here for UT Knoxville Utopian Tidal Krakens, and I mean, they just surfed their way in onto game 1.
Yeah, absolutely, Saf. And you saw them just holding it out there in a dominating fashion. Even back on that map, you can kind of see it, Saf. Look at the paint in the 2 bases, where you had Golden Barracudas who were constantly coming back in, needing to paint up their base for specials, where UT Knoxville kind of just got out and were able to hold that space in mid, never really needed to retreat. The few that did respawn just either jumped back in or swam through those already inked paths. They just had really fast, aggressive gameplay. Here at the end, you see that Reef Slider coming in, unfortunately not finding the cap on that zone. And you just have, again, a lot of good pressure, watching these ledges exactly where they need to be, and they know that that stringer can't get them there, and they wait patiently for the shooter to drop in on them. It just left that arrow spray up, but unfortunately it wasn't able to find any value. Spect was really playing well there, knowing kind of exactly what angles they needed to approach those fights for to find the win.
Yeah, and you know what I appreciate too about what Spect was doing was you can tell that the call out of the zone getting captured was made, but also reinforced by don't worry about it, we're going to cap the Reef Slider. Because I think we would have seen Spect act differently in that moment. We would have seen them turn their attention towards the zone immediately, forget about who's coming up on the ledge no matter who it is. I mean, the objective is now falling, but we're this close to victory, especially when you are in the single digits of your penalty. So I think Spect could have played that very differently, but again, if for somebody that has the mind of a competitive player, you can see that the call out there was made for them to not shift their focus away from the upcoming threat. So I mean, well played.
Yeah, absolutely, like you said, Saf. And I think, kind of at this level of play, you start running into players who are all really mechanically gifted, who all really know what they're doing. And it's kind of those differences in decision making and team coordination that make the differences in between who's going to be coming out victorious in those matches. And we saw that UT Knoxville there was just really, really strong at that kind of split second fast decision making. You saw early in that game when that Reef Slider came in, they all kind of backed up too from the zone, knowing that, hey, we don't want to go down here. We don't want to all be sent back to base. We're going to take care of it. And they did. They just came back in, immediately capped it up. And then they didn't let the same thing happen to them the second time. They were prepared for it. They took notes. And that's kind of showing that mid-game growth that's super important.
Yeah, I mean, but also UT Knoxville is a 4-0 this season for a reason, and I mean, it's being proven on the big screen here that they have their record because they have their record, and they can show you in individual games, and they're just like how they're showing us. A little bit of comp change, it seems like, on either side here, definitely shifting a little bit more meta-focused. However, the armor weapon and the painting weapon is going to be Kareki on that end zap over on UT Knoxville. So equivalent amount of paint output, I would say, for both sides, and the cooler being had. However, where are the 1v1s going to matter? And so far for UT Knoxville, it's looking like they are going to have the upper hand.
Yeah, Kareki's already got that cooler ready to go in bats exactly where it matters, Saf. We both know how important it is on this map. And the pressure is just ongoing with that Zuka out to follow one into the bubble, just picking it off as soon as it pops, and Tri-Strikes are there to follow up as well. They're chaining up all their specials to really deny a whole lot of space. Now you see that Crab Tank finally coming out to deny even more. And right now, Golden Barracuda is trying to struggle to get in there. They are able to delay the tower momentarily, but you see one member dropping in there and has Azuka already to just kind of clutch it up there. Two players remaining on the side of the Golden Barracudas, as now this Blaster player is just sitting here trying to hold it up. They do get a pick on him, but unfortunately fall to that bomb there. It does look for now, though, that they may have steered clear from a little bit of danger. They just need to take note of the players in bats.
Yeah, and already the Bats players are collapsing in, and they're just going to try to keep the tower in their vicinity as much as they can. However, the upcoming threat is the 3 players from KU Golden Barracudas at the moment. So they only need just one player. There's Kareki standing on the tower to get it back into motion and in their favor here. It just seems like KU Golden is a little delayed. They're a little staggered. They're kind of hesitant in wanting to push forward and go out of the map here. And especially when you only had maybe 2 players there up on the Bats area holding 3 of you back. You gotta wonder, like, maybe we should try to divert our attention elsewhere versus just right in front of us sort of thing, you know? But sometimes it's hard. It's hard when the threat is right in front of you. It's also hard when there's a Trizuka that also has the high ground on you when you're just trying to maintain your space and get your front line out.
Yeah, I think a note I'd like to add with that too, of course, Pencil has been in a dominating place in this meta, but I think what gives them a lot of confidence is Kareki here, that support player that has the cooler, is moving forward with them, and sometimes is even the furthest one forward, as you see them here, just distracting in the base, and that just gives them so much paint and enables them to have so much space to work with. Kareki there is just clearing the path for UT Knoxville. Unfortunately, the wipeout does happen on that tower, but they were able to extend that push to 4, and Kareki really was a huge key player in making that happen.
Yeah, I mean, that is wild to be an NZAP pushed up that far. I mean, it's not unheard of, but it's definitely not something that you typically get to see and witness firsthand, especially in this third-person view. Thank you, Falco, for your spec camming. 2 minutes left here to go, though. I mean, just, wow, a dominant lead by UT Knoxville. KU Golden Barracudas, there's got to be some change in offense here if they want to try to get something cooking. It looks like they want to get somebody on the tower here, but they're just not really finding connection in their 1v1 battles, and especially right there, you could see that player immediately was put into a 2v1 fight, and so was Kareki. Kareki was going in for C- here, the Blaster player, but immediately getting flanked from the side from a teammate. It just seems like you got to be calling out where those double fights are happening and be a little bit more cautious of them, because otherwise, I mean, KU Golden Barracudas isn't going to be able to get this tower going in the direction that they want it to.
No, they definitely do. It kind of seems like UT Knoxville has had them staggered for most of this fight. They've been really taking those pairings well and making sure to get advantage whenever they can. You can see there Kareki finding one, picking one off, and another member of UT Knoxville collapsing in on the fight with Kareki, making sure to take it together. Kareki does find one more, trading off there to just keep pressure up, as you see the tower is still in control of UT Knoxville, slowly inching forward as they kind of, have a little bit of moment of, wait, I don't have anybody here, no one's in bats, let's pause for just a second. KU Golden Barracudas does have an opportunity to set up some defense with that, but 40 seconds left in this game, Sap, they're going to need a whole lot more than defense.
Yeah, I mean, but look at this. What else can you do when you can't really get a foothold onto mid? I mean, look at Kareki just holding it down, looking in and getting a really awesome pick up on that ledge, pretty far away for a reach, and we're able to make contact. Again, the tower in control by UT Knoxville. You have 17 seconds left on the timer here. You can see Golden Barracudas is just fighting to try to get out of the zone, just trying to prevent the tower from going into a knockout scenario here. All eyes forward, as you see where Yep can just kind of come in and say, yep, and go in for the triple. They're looking in for the quad here, and unfortunately for the bucket, again, finding themselves in a 2v1 scenario. I mean, holy smokes, what a dominating presence by UT Knoxville Utopian Tidal Krakens. I mean, that was just textbook gameplay. They didn't let up on their offense. They didn't want to let go. I mean, even though they had such a dominating lead, they still kept trying to go forward and trying to go in for the knockout. And truly, I think that is a really important thing if you are someone with, most people have a winning mindset, right? But, when you are going in for the kill, I think it's important to always keep note of, the game doesn't end until the tape crosses the screen. The game doesn't end until it's a knockout. And again, 20 seconds left with four and no points to be had by Golden Barracudas here, and they are still trying to go in for the win.
Yeah, they certainly are. This is where you see these key plays by Yep, able to pick off one, make that two. Looking at the pencil doesn't know, Saf, that they're there pushing in and then popping back in. I'm going to retreat to safety with these dodge rolls, have a crab tank out to make sure that they're just not even going to be able to get close to this tower in time.
Every piece of insurance counts, and it doesn't matter where you are in your win streak. It doesn't matter where you are on the points. Even if you have a dominating lead, you always take into account, you always launch those specials right in those final moments, no matter what, just to like make sure that nobody sneaks through, because it can happen. It's not unheard of with this game.
It has happened, Saf. We've been there for sets where a team hasn't scored at all during the first 5 minutes of a game, and they somehow take it back in crazy overtime pushes. And you don't want to be on the losing side of that, where you're like, yeah, we've got this. Oh, wait, never mind. Because that can be a little bit demotivating, definitely, for sure. So it's nice to see that kind of, and I always say it, the best, our defense is a good offense, especially in those last few minutes. It matters, you know, Rainmaker and tower control, especially in tower control though, because that tower moves slow, and every second it's got to move back across that map, Seth. That's more time your opponent has to build up specials, more time they have to do whatever they need to do to stop you.
Yeah, but looking ahead onto Sturgeon Rainmaker. So listen, I feel, just based on the different matches I've seen on this map, I feel that this can be a little cheesy. Because when you go the mountain route and you jump across the little ramp, a lot of the units of measurement are just in that little swirly ramp on the mountain. And if you know, you know. So I think it could be a little cheesy if you find success on the left-hand side. However, I do appreciate that we have that call out as mountain, and yet the right-hand side is truly the mountain to be climbed with all of the switchbacks going up to the final pedestal. But you know what? We'll let the nomenclature, the taxonomous nomenclature people of Splatoon figure that out for us, because opening statements here are being made, and already there's going to be 3 down going on UT Knoxville, so this is a great opening for Golden Barracudas.
Yeah, speaking of those jumps, looks like they're going to maybe try to opt looking this left-hand side. And one thing I love to see in this comp, is unfortunately they go down though, is the tri-stringer. It's a weapon I love, that I'm super passionate about, but like you said, those jumps are really important on this map, Saf, and that has the Toxic Mist, which I think is a sub that finds a lot of utility, specifically on map modes like this, where you've got jumps that can add in a lot of pressure to your score, and it can just totally shut those down. But speaking of shut down right now, UT Knoxville going to be shutting down that push there on the left-hand side, not going to allow the Golden Barracudas to be able to find a checkpoint break. But already you see, especially this Dynamo Roller putting in a lot of work, Saf. This is a different team than what we've seen the past 2 matches. They've definitely opened up with a lot stronger presence.
Yeah, and already shutting down that pedestal gain from UT Knoxville. You can see the tri-strikes coming out to cause a little displacement there, and a little bit of insurance onto that shield as well. Spect, though, is going to be sharking in this corner, so you got to be mindful of who's going to be just sneaking around the corner there, because they might just break through and take the checkpoint right under your nose, or do they? Because the Rainmaker is just sitting on top of that checkpoint, but it has not been dunked. So UT Knoxville is on the cusp of a dunk here, and all 4 players you can see are up in the middle zone there. Unfortunately, if only other people could see the names of others, imagine how different this game would be. It would be incredible. But you know what? That wasn't long enough for them to maintain the Rainmaker there, because somebody was able to jump through and break the checkpoint. Toma, I didn't even see who did that.
I didn't even say either. I thought for sure it was about to reset, Saf.
Yeah!
I was like, okay, it's going back to mid, like, we're fine. And then, no, just Knoxville refused to let it go. But now, with that man down, we do see that the Golden Barracudas are going to have another opportunity to make this push. Looks like they're once again opting to go that left-hand side, and no one there to stop them this time. If they can get a pop and get this pushing forward, it definitely can be devastating. It looks like Kareki trying to make some moves to prevent that from happening there, though, on the side, taking down 2 members. The rest of Knoxville going to be there on that right-hand side to stop this and drop it down here into this pit, where Golden Barracudas are going to have to make a lot of work to get it back to a point where they can get a lead.
This is not the same Barracudas we were seeing the first 2 games. this is not the same team, which is so wild because this comp that they are running is so interesting. But Toma!
Right, it's not the same Barracuda team. It's actually just a Forge Pro, Saf.
Oh my gosh, I'm speechless!
I don't even know what to say, Saf. Like, I was like, wow. I was like, they're doing so good. This is so good for them. I was like, I think they can like take the lead here. Like,
yes,
the entire team exploded. I was like, oh, that's really unfortunate.
Yes.
The lobby exploded.
Okay, well, you know, look at this replay. 1 point difference, okay? Toma's not kidding. I think that Barracudas actually could have had a real chance to try to flip the lead here because they were within 1 point, and so that is just within the checkpoint. That is just within the frickin' checkpoint, you guys. That's so close. But also, the entire team exploded, and we're not sure why.
And then everybody else exploded very shortly after. I was like, oh, I was like, maybe are we gonna see the craziest 1v4 ever? I was like, is this like that Forge Pros like God moment? Like, imagine if that had played out. Yeah, there's that connection error. So I think we're gonna wait to see what they're gonna, I don't know all the CCA rules, so we're gonna figure out a ruling from the teams and see what they're gonna be doing there. So, but that was I think this was a situation that you will only see every once in a while. This is a fun one for us here. Looking in on this game, though, I think that, and it looks like my favorite friend Saf has also exploded. My cat is gone. She's exploded. I'm here. I'm still alive. Falco's here. You can't hear Falco, but I can hear Falco. So here's hi Falco. Hi. Thank you.
So we're checking with the rules right now. I'm talking, I mean, obviously, like, we don't make the rules, which is the best part about us streaming. We just kind of report the scores and anything that happens. But right now, I believe both of the captains are working with one of the welcome back, Saf. Both of the captains are working with one of the TOs, and they are going to gentleman's replay it. I don't think they're going to be changing anything, but we will get a replay with the game, which is good. You know, it was literally a 1 point game, and by 1 point, I mean they literally both got the checkpoint too. So tied, but you know what I mean. But yeah. We're gonna get back in the lobby very shortly, so I'll toss this back to you guys. But yeah, we're gonna be replaying game number 3.
Okay, well, that is great to hear that we're replaying. I love this situation. I think that, you know, like we said, a KU Golden Barracuda is a completely different team.
Toma, I have so many notes. Before we explode again, before you and I explode again into the sky, I have so many notes about KU Golden Barracudas. This Dynamo, what is going on with this Dynamo? Because consistently when they got 2 really nice picks when our spec cam was on them. It went off of them. There was a skirmish and a team fight happening in mid. And then the whole time I was like, what is the Dynamo doing? But what is the Dynamo doing? And I saw them over on the right-hand side. They got a 3rd pick. So they were on like a 3 splat streak after that pick on the side. And then literally consistently I would see them not only going in for picks, but they were just throwing as much ink as they could. So I gotta really give kudos to the Dynamo player here, because you know what? Like, we've talked about it before. Double backline, it's a very skeptical, risky comp to run. But you gotta appreciate it when you watch people do it, and you're like, oh, okay. For this instance, this Dynamo plays a lot more aggressively. Then you're like, okay. If we can try to work around something like that, especially because they're our cooler player and they're playing a little more forward, trying to go in and take fights, and they feel confident to do that, then give them the space to do it. And it seemed like for Barracudas in this instance, on this map mode, this was working. It was only 1 point.
I agree, Saf. I think it was working really well for them. And I think that, you know, Dynamo, obviously a very unconventional choice, but I think that this is probably actually one of its stronger maps. From mid, it has a lot of range and power to kind of be poking up and over the snipe area that goes onto the grates behind mid. That can be where, you know, a lot of your back lines or supports want to stand while they're trying to paint the map and gain control of mid without actually dropping into it, which can be very vital. And then, of course, looking at your two pedestals from both the left and the right hand side, they're both near some higher ground ledges that the defenders have to be able to access for defensive terrain. And the Dynamo, if it does one thing excellently, it's just going to throw a whole lot of paint down directly on top of you. If you got anybody firing with that, it's going to be really hard to find a dunk without getting splatted.
Okay, so I'm glad that we're gonna go ahead and run this back, because I was very, very concerned about what the outcome was gonna be. Okay, so we the same thing. Everybody's got the same thing in hand. All right, fresh slate, Toma. New slate, same weapons, fresh slate.
Yes, indeed. Seeing how they're going to be opening out here now that they know, you know, a little bit of each other's strategies. Krakens' strategy is going to be rolling off the map. Major respect. I just don't think that my mind can comprehend.
Let them cook. Let them cook. Yeah, exactly. It's beyond us. It's beyond us.
It's all part of the master plan for UT Knoxville. I trust that.
Okay, it's all a part of divine intervention here, because Lucky is holding on to this Rainmaker for dear life. They want to go in the right direction. They want to make sure that they can pull forward and go forward, but they're very concerned about what threat is going to be lurking underneath. They had an idea to go right, but they opted to like wait a little bit and maybe choose to go mountain again. And it looks like that's going to probably be successful here. I mean, sure, you can see that Yep is right there going in and getting a double pick, and also with a little bit of help, and also providing it some jump-ins here to try to defend this Rainmaker pop. But already, Toma, in the first minute, we're down to the 65 mark for Golden Barracudas. They're trying to repeat where we were before.
Exactly. This is opening up almost exactly like it was before. We saw them get a really high score on that left-hand side, but not find a break as they open. And then here, are they going to get the dunk? They do this time, getting the dunk straight out without having to wait for a second one. It looks like they might even be in a better position to be able to continue pushing here. McDonald Lover on that Dynamo, going to be dropping in to stop the push there in its tracks, trying to see if they can wrap it up, find anybody else here to just flush out the members of Knoxville. And unfortunately, now they're kind of caught in that little bit of an awkward position. Krakens trying to go for the Rainmaker, but being taken out by that Tri-Stringer is going to buy Golden Barracudas some more time. They just need to get this rolling forward now and find some space back in mid. The Dynamo here doing a great job of getting this paint down as the pop does go into UT Knoxville's favor. They're going to just have this high ground paint to try to slow this down. You can see while they have the pop, no one from Knoxville really feeling confident enough yet to be able to push forward. They are going to try to find, they actually end up going 2 down on the side of Knoxville. Going to be creating a potential opening here for Barracudas, but yeah, coming in just as I say that, wreaking some havoc there, finding 2 back on the back end of Barracudas. Lucky, though, is left alone, and we are seeing a little similar solo break like we saw before, where Lucky is going to be able to find this break here on the left-hand side. By themselves, unfortunately, though, not going to be able to find any follow-up with that. Knoxville does have the Rainmaker back in their possession. Got it up here, applying a lot of pressure, looking to try to drop down here at the right time. Krakens gonna fall off the map again. This time it was part of the plan. Krakens got that reset. It was all very, very purposeful, I think, on their end to make sure that they got the defense up and running. Golden Barracudas do have good control, though, of mid here at the moment, trying to get everything that they can down forward. The Tri-Strikes are going to come out as they pick up the Rainmaker, but one member of Knoxville, yep, they're ready to just close that up as soon as they're able to be picking up. And oh my goodness, what an absolute scrappy fight that they've been having out here. Knoxville doing the absolute most to try to keep this defense up, but Golden Barracuda is absolutely not ready to give it up here yet. 2 down on both sides as we kind of enter this little bit of neutral moment here. You see a lot of paint being traded down as mid as both of these teams are trying to find their footing again. Yep, goes down. Krakens there picks one, but is taken down as well. The Dynamo getting a triple there. Now just the Blob Lobber left on the side of Knoxville. They're going to be trying to take it this left-hand side to see if they can rack up as many points as possible. No, actually, they're going to be going straight forward. One is going to be right there under those grates ready for the pick. I don't think that they knew that there was going to be some defensive pressure there. Now 30 seconds left in this match. Super close. Still potentially anybody's game.
Yeah, Toma, we have just about 24 seconds left, and I mean, props to KU because they've been really holding on here for this match and really trying their best. And again, this has been much an improvement since we've seen from the first game. Can Lucky get that pick? Yes, they can. They are going to go down. Just one player alive now on KU. It is going to be the Tri-Stringer, but I don't think they're going to get there in time. Now, they did get the last pop, so they will get in overtime, but it looks like most of the players from, UT Knoxville were in the way, so they're going to get a win for that game. And that was a fun game to watch too, just based on how many opportunities that we saw KU get. But unfortunately, there was always like just one member of UT Knoxville who just stood in their way to prevent a push of any sort. So that was a valiant effort there from KU Golden, but unfortunately it wasn't enough. And let's take a look at the replay here. This is, again, in the last 10 seconds where when you're just a Tri-Stringer alone, you are nowhere near the Rainmaker. You're like, look, I just got to get a few picks. I want some of my teammates to jump in, and I really hope things can happen, but no. Again, they had quite a few breakaway moments, but just one person from UT Knoxville able to get the save, able to stop, and that's how UT Knoxville got it done. We didn't have a DC this match, Toma, so I'd say we're looking pretty good.
We are looking pretty good. Honestly, I think that between the DC and then the reset there, that might be one of the craziest matches that I've commentated so far. But it was really, really good. Kind of like Saf was saying earlier, I think that Knoxville has shown itself to be a completely different team there. I don't know whether they're just finding their footing. Maybe Rainmaker is their mode, but they came out the gates looking a lot stronger. And if they can try to carry that momentum here into Clam Blitz on Robo Ramen, I think that you could see something truly great. Robo Ramen 2 is another kind of map mode that I think works well with that Dynamo that they're doing, especially if they can kind of get them poking up and over those ledges where the snipers like to hide, over that kind of glass area. It can be really annoying for anyone to be able to stand there if you're just facing a bombardment of ink, Falco.
Yeah, I think so too, and I kind of want to touch back on the comps that we saw from UT Knoxville because they were different from what we had seen before. We saw the Dapples come out from Korecki, we saw the Blob come out as well, so I'm thinking like, oh, they're ready to cook here. And I don't know if that was a comp that held them back in Game 3. I think it kind of was. They just didn't have as much range as they had before. But you're right, going into Robo Ramen, I feel like it is a completely different ball game than what we had seen from Rainmaker on Sturgeon Shipyard. You know, there's more open spaces, a little less height advantage. You know, if you're running Zuka, it might be a little easier to get some of your picks there. But again, I feel like Clams is such a different mode than the other three regardless too. So I know, Crack and Cheese is always up for debate on whether, teams are going to be using it or if that's going to be like the one mode they really excel at just because you have a really good Kraken player who can really push forward and make sure that those players get in. But Toma, looking at these comps, what do we notice that's different?
Yeah, so like you said, we are going to be seeing that Kraken Royale coming out with that Blob Lobber Deco. We are not going to be seeing any Crab Cheese on the side of the Golden Barracudas, though. I'm also interested to see the Imperies here. With that splashdown, could be really good for creating some openings. And Pencil is always going to be just a great backline to have on this map. Like you said, a lot of open sight lines for it to be working with here.
Yeah, and I think too, oh, look at this. KU Golden Barracudas making quick work of this, getting that power claim. They already have it formed. Lucky with their strikes ready as well, so they are ready to strike forward, but waiting for that perfect opportunity. But yeah, they I think this comp in particular for them, you know, you do have quite a bit of range there looking at the pencil and the squeezer if you are on the KU Golden Barracudas, but sometimes it's hard to get flanks, sometimes it's hard to really paint when you need to paint, and it's sometimes it's going to be maybe easy to avoid some of these splashdowns, but it's hard to avoid everything in this game, and it looks like now UT Knoxville able to take advantage of this player advantage too, throwing that cooler out. They have a 1-player advantage right now, no power clam, but that blob deco is sitting pretty nice. 2-player advantage, 6 clams. They're ready to strike forward.
Yeah, but as soon as they say that 2 go down, all the clams in the ponds of that Kraken player as well, so not going to really be able to find a push here at the moment. Forcing some jump outs, Golden Barracudas are going to be getting some ground back, but as soon as I say that, of course, the dualies are going to find a pick to try to solidify the hold here in the mid for UT Knoxville. You see that Spect is moving up here in this corner, got a Zuka out, trying to see if it can find some value. Unfortunately, looks like it does find one onto that squeezer with that last shot, and there comes a jump in, but it isn't successful. The bomb gonna be going off. Yep, the last hope of trying to get that clam in, but unfortunately not gonna be happening. Spect there just gonna try to jump out with the clams they have. What a great defensive move there from the Barracudas.
Yeah, Spect with that movement, I'm like, oh my goodness, there's one more pushing, but that was great that they're able to just say, nope, I'm gonna hop down here and jump out and make sure that I am safe. So that was a very good defensive effort there by the Golden Barracudas. And again, we're almost halfway into this game where there have been no points scored, and this isn't super abnormal for Clam Blitz, and you know, we love to see it in a competitive matchup like this, especially with how close that third game was too. But I feel like Knoxville, I feel like they're gonna have something cooking, and speaking of cooking, here it is. We see the Kraken come out, 2 power clams ready to get that jump. Kraken's hoping that they can provide that safe jump, and I will mess with my spec cam to get it right, but they are able to get 2 power claims in and get a few picks. It is just going to be Koreki who's going to be opting to jump out, but getting a suction bomb pick along the way, so that's going to be big. 2 power claims scored 3 minutes in. This is a good push in momentum that they've wanted.
Absolutely, those suction bombs coming in just at the right time there. And unfortunately, on the side of the Golden Barracudas, they just didn't have those strikes up at the right moment. They did bring them. Strikes are pretty much your most consistent counter, or Kraken counter here in Clam Blitz now. But you've got to have the player alive when that Kraken comes in, and unfortunately, it just wasn't. Now the battle in mid goes out, though. You can see that right now Golden Barracudas has a pretty strong hold here, trying to keep their spacing, but one does go down. This pencil just trying to throw as much paint and as they can down, and the crab coming out to buy them some time. The strikes are being popped here a bit early. No clam yet in their possession, but C- is going to be trying to create some space with that wall. They have 2 down. Potential for a push maybe coming here as the cooler comes out. They're going to be tossing some clams C-'s way, but look at that. The members of Knoxville notice. They're like, hey, this is the time. They're juggling clams. Let's push in now, and they are going to be able to pick out 2 and make that push come to a halt.
You know, this is looking pretty good for the Golden Barracudas, but like, you just need 2 power clams and 1 clam to get the win, but they just haven't ever had the player advantage or the clam economy on their side. They haven't had that solid near wipeout that they've been hoping to get. I don't know if it's the specials that just hasn't been working for them at this moment, but right now, UT Knoxville, they're playing the careful game, and they're playing it very well. Too. We see C- has that clam, has that power clam, and again, when you have the clam, it's a permanent point sensor. You can't really hide when you have it, but you need to strike now with a 2-player advantage. C- opting to try and pushing up. They do have another power clam at the ready, and 2 clams with that as well. So will KU Golden Barracudas push forward? We see some of the strikes coming out, one of the players down, but the Kraken is out too. They're going to have to avoid some of these Kraken plays, and there's just 1 player alive at C-, and they're going to go down 2 on the wipeout. So a huge ending play. Well, not quite ending play. We still have a little bit of overtime with that power claim still alive, but in theory, that is going to be the end of that game. And, you know, slow and steady wins the race there for UT Knoxville. Each game got closer and closer as they went on. And I thought that was going to be the moments that the Golden Barracudas could strike forward, but unfortunately it wasn't. You know, I feel like the specials were a little bit staggered, and UT Knoxville just they had the right players there at the right time to get the win. So that was an amazing win. Let's take a look at the replay, and we're gonna be hopping in with Saf, who Saf's internet is not quite cooperating tonight. But Saf, from what you were able to see, what was your takeaway from this match?
There was so much hesitation here, Falco. I was feeling so confident because you could see C- had the coverage from that ink wall. The tri-strikes were coming out. Like, it was recipe for success. I mean, obviously, the Kraken is a unaccounted variable that you have to be aware of, sure. And 3 players went down. But it's one of those things where it's like maybe you can't like see too far in front of you because just so much hesitation with pushing forward, and especially because they had the economy at their disposal to try and take the lead flip. But I understand that hesitation because it's like if you don't have the visibility or the clearance and like you don't really trust what's happening on top of the bar, like on top of the screen, because sometimes like you'll look up there and you're like, okay, yeah, this player's down. But then you go in and then they're like right there kind of, like you misjudge the timing of like what that information is giving you. So I think it's one of those things that you have to be like very cautious of and like always checking. But like I could understand their hesitation from that point of view, because it's like if I don't have all of the tools I need and I can't see all of it in front of me, if I can't connect all the dots to make the bigger picture, then like I don't want to do it. I can't in my right mind like go forward because I want to try to give myself the best possible chance. But it's also like one of those things where like it's acting in the moment and trying to like assess the danger in the moment, which is always like so hard to do.
Absolutely, Saf. I don't think I could have worded it better myself. And I think with your note of hesitation too is that we're currently in a cooler meta, Saf, right? And so, unfortunately, sometimes I think when your plays are a little bit too slow and your enemies are almost instantly respawning, those just even split seconds of hesitation under pressure can really make the difference between whether a play works or whether it doesn't work. So definitely out of the KU Barracudas, just want to see a little bit more confidence in their play. It's very clear that these players are mechanically gifted, that they've got the skills to back it up. We've seen some insane plays out of them, Saf, but we just need to see that forward commitment that UT Knoxville has, right? Because UT Knoxville's always right up in their faces.
Yeah, I mean, the presence is known and it's absolutely felt. But in this instance, this is a play all 7. So UT Knoxville has technically won the set, but we will be moving forward with a play all 7 bout. And already, I mean, UT Knoxville is here and making opening statements. They're going to stake their claim on the zone fairly early here down at Barnacle and Dime. But you can see Golden Barracudas is trying not to waste any time to get back into the map. They already have those super chumps online. They want to try to find the right opening here, maybe build a little bit more special before trying to move forward. But then once they have all of the stars aligned, then maybe we can try to get some headway here.
Yeah, and we're actually seeing super chumps from both sides. The team that was running the stringer earlier now has flipped on its head. Now UT Knoxville has that chump stringer online, and Saf, that thing can paint a lot. Tri-stringer already a decent main weapon with its kind of paint on the tap shots, but then sprinkler plus chumps, and it's painting for days. And you see here that all that paint forward too is just really hard right now for the Barracudas to find a path through. It allows Yep to move so effortlessly through their base and just continuously create that lockout pressure, not even allowing them to get back and touch that zone.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't even allow them any denial, or they didn't allow them any denial for them, but also didn't allow any space forward. I mean, look at the map here. So much orange being put forward into the spawning area of KU Barracudas. I mean, no blue ink to be had, really much past the midpoint, just a little bit past the midpoint there, going into spawn. So definitely a map and mode that UT is not unfamiliar with. Looking at the replay here, you can see Koreki jumping in onto that beacon. They're going to go ahead and jump actually back to that beacon and replace it. But you can see that already there's 3 different members of UT Knoxville just perfectly placed for offense against KU Golden Barracudas here. And look at that, even with the technically a flank too, upon the success of that one splat that Yep was able to get, going in and trying to fight Lucky up on the little snipe area there in front of the spawn. So I mean, again, UT Knoxville just has the tools to put themselves in the right places where they want to go. So it's just, I think it's a really good learning experience for Golden Barracudas to try to take back and just recognize, like, where can we try to fix the holes in our defense, but also, like, maybe, like, what other things can we learn from people that play similar weapons to us?
Yeah, I definitely think that there's learning experiences to be had here, but we've been seeing them learn and grow throughout this set. Unfortunately, I think Zone's just a really strong mode out of UT Knoxville, where we've seen very dominant gameplay, but now we're back on Tower and we're back on Rainmaker afterwards. Two modes where we saw a lot stronger fights out of the Barracudas to be able to stay alive there, and I think that, you know, what they're going to be bringing out here, what they can bring to the table, they've got a lot more to do here. I'm really excited to see, you know, if they'll be bringing that Dynamo back, especially here and on Humpback. I think that they're both really good options, especially for the second checkpoint, Saf, is really hard to clear. And I think that if you can defend it from underneath it, or even just from on the tower, while trying to deny the sightline the enemy has on you, that's really good here. Because this second checkpoint, if you've seen the CCA stats from the CCA masters themselves, this second checkpoint is one of the most unbroken checks in all of tower control.
It's a really hard one to try to contest, and especially if you have, honestly, strong offense and defense. It's equal parts when trying to get through this second checkpoint. It's very, very challenging and difficult. Also, I have to appreciate Kareki's badges, because they not once have they played something with Inkstorm, nor have they played E-Leader this evening. So that's really fun to see. But Toma, I also want to comment on the fact that there are 3 rollers in this game right now, and all of them different.
They sure are. So thank you if you were listening to the stream and decided to bring out your Dynamo roller via request. I think your Dynamo roller is kind of based McDonald's lover, but they're going to be fighting out for control at the moment, and it looks like the rollers are doing what rollers do, trying to get in there on the flank and make some moves, but Kareki ultimately going to go down. It looks like the fights are starting to go into... I was about to say starting to go in the favor of Barracudas, but then everybody just ends up 2 down, so maybe a little bit of a commentator's curse there. But now they definitely do have that man advantage, 2 down on the side of Knoxville. They just need to get this tower moving, and once again, Saf, a little bit slow to be doing that, but that Carbon is looking to try to open some of the way to get that started.
Yeah, and that's exactly the ticket that needed to be punched to try to get cooking here. So finally, KU Golden Barracudas are getting that tower moving. The bubble is popped on the tower as well. However, great vantage point for the bow player there on the UT Knoxville side. You can see taking full autonomy on the canopy there to try to provide some coverage and honestly give some call-outs too. Maybe providing some folks with some insight and some intel of what's going down on the map there. But really great gameplay also coming in from Kuroki there. Wow, what a dodge from that Dynamo splat there. Really, really close, calling it quits there for Kuroki. But Kuroki at this moment is on a 3-splat streak, looking in to try to get their 4th here. Feeling real confident on this tower, finally getting back to the second checkpoint here, and they are going to pop it with ease, Toma. As again, you can see Kureki getting some assistance from the Reef Slider. Maybe not quite as much value as they were hoping for. However, Kuroki is still alive here, Toma. I believe they're on like a 5-splat streak at this point.
Yeah, they're back here in the base causing a mess. C- having to devote some of their time and attention to get Kareki out of the base, which it looks like they eventually do, but that stalls time for Golden Barracudas to really get back in and get pushing. You see here that they're just barely past mid after all of that time of having man advantage, because while they did have a man advantage on screen, you just had Golden Barracudas turned around, specifically dealing with Kareki. That's the power that, you know, that kind of skirmishy gameplay can bring to you. They are at first check here though now, but they've got to watch out for Kareki, who's coming into that tower, gonna find a splat, trying to keep it nailed down for UT Knoxville, but is going to go down themselves. And now it's Lucky here with that Izuka trying to make some moves, but it looks like they're struggling right now at the moment, Saf, to keep that advantage through the first check.
Yeah, and Lucky trying to look in for a little bit more of a fight here. However, Koreki going to bring up the rear and take them down in the process. I mean, 63, that's a pretty decent score that we've seen from Golden Barracudas in this game. I definitely was hopeful that they were going to bust through that first checkpoint there, but unfortunately for the skirmish that occurred, that was not the case. So we have a little bit less than 2 minutes left to go here. A really good presence by UT Knoxville. Moving past the second checkpoint here, you can see XV just trying to get some ink down to cause a little bit more forward momentum from their teammates. They definitely have some good ink coverage here, just really need to be getting these specials in line and trying to utilize them together to get a more cohesive package out.
Yeah, they definitely need to. The cooler online is going to be helping them to get that out, but they need to get that space. They need to start moving forward with it. And right now, it looks like they're just a little bit scared to here on the right-hand side. One member down on both sides, about a minute left remaining in this game. The Stringer that's not even the Stringer. This is the Chump Stringer. What was that? That was the Nova? Oh my gosh, I'm like trying to keep track of all these specials. It was indeed the Nova getting that whale out for defense. Now, Golden Barracudas again stuck at that first checkpoint. They were able to break it this time, but you already see Koreki is just so good at holding forward and just clearing out any obstacles in their way.
Yeah, they're really fast to avoid the pressure that's coming at them. Like consistently, I've seen them trying to take fights with this blaster. And they've been able to back up and or move to the side like in a corrective fashion that they need to. And look at this great assistance coming out from Koreki, and yep, just a team fight to be had. And same thing there too. You can see that yep fully utilized the window that the Dynamo has, unfortunately, when it's really vulnerable mid jump to try to do a bit of a dodge roll to go in for the final strike. So, I mean, just really good gameplay all around by UT Knoxville here. Just absolutely dominating presence. However, KU Golden Barracudas had a pretty good run there going into that first checkpoint. I mean, I was feeling really confident for them. Lucky just like slapped their carbon roller back down on the tower to try to get it down to the 63 mark. So, I mean, you gotta appreciate the effort. They definitely put up a little bit more of a fight in this one.
Yes, they did. You know, I think it's funny to see these comps that are coming out there with those two rollers, and it's nice to see these teams can just kind of relax after a very stressful, if I can get that word out, best of 7 set, and have a lot of fun there together, but, you know, still provide a very entertaining match, even if it isn't necessarily the most serious. If we see these continued rollers coming out, Saf, that are just really fun to see, this is the roller map of all time, I think.
It's funny because I feel like for Rainmaker, it's not the greatest, just because a lot of the main fight, like obviously you have a lot of mid fighting happening when it counts, but I feel like a lot of the crucial fights all happen over on the bottleneck where the first checkpoint is, and so it's funny to me watching people try to, like, I don't know, utilize roller here, unless you're utilizing the vanilla one, because I feel like curling bomb is just so ace here for trying to just go the distance when you need it to. And so it's funny when people use roller, I think, on Rainmaker, because for me it seems like Rainmaker just makes the least amount of sense.
I think it kind of matters, situational. I think if you're gonna choose it, this is the map to choose it on, right? The geometry works out so well for it. Definitely more suited though for like other modes, like you said, clamps, zones, where the sharking may become more valuable. And I think that's the key, is that sharking is valuable. So whatever your Rainmaker carrier is going to be, it's probably not going to be your roller player. They can utilize, I've seen great plays from rollers, especially if they've, you know, got Ninja Squid or a way to hide their trail, swimming through the paint that the Rainmaker makes forward, and then just kind of popping out, surprise, here I am, and taking some people out as that Rainmaker is trying to progress forward.
Toma, something I want to point out about the team logos, they're in the same shape.
thought this when I started it. And I was
Okay.
like, is this the same? And then I like realized I'm like, no, because I was like, that's not the whole squid. It's like paint behind the squid. But I'm like, yeah, they are very similar looking. And I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought that.
Same but different. Same but different. Okay, so I think we're trying out a lot of stuff here. So we're not doing rollers this time. We are going to go brushes. However, I think that these heavier hitting brushes are a better choice for something that's fast paced, like Rainmaker. However, you got to be really cautious of where that E-liter is coming from. And I believe, Falco, that's Koreki on the E-liter. Yeah. No, it definitely is. That's Koreki on the E-liter. And I was saying Falco because I wanted him to bring up the weapons for us again, because he sometimes he just does that. Yeah, look at him. Sometimes he just does that for us without even asking, so that's great. Toma, but the first checkpoint pop already is going to go to UT Knoxville here, because I mean the middle of the map is blue.
The middle of the map sure is blue, though it looks like the Golden Barracuda is trying to put it in that nice gold color for it themselves. The brush here trying to break that Rainmaker all by themselves, and it's just the junior up now on the side of UT Knoxville. So a potential push here from Golden Barracudas may be happening. They just need to get respawn back out to try to help with these fight, as these brushes are going to be carving that path forward there, and they are going to be able to find a dunk as close to a tied game as you can get here at the moment. Now it's time to see if they can capitalize off a pop and get some more space for themselves.
Okay, knock on wood, no blowing up here, Toma. The lead now being taken by Golden Barracudas. We just literally saw a 1-point repeat from Sturgeon Shipyard Rainmaker. So finally, Golden Barracudas are in the lead here, and they have a great foothold at where they're at because all 4 of their members are up. The point sensors are out. They are utilizing the suction bomb to the best of their ability and gaining some headway. Now down to the 24 mark. They are on an even playing field. However, UT Knoxville does have 2 specials online, and Lucky going down with the burning of a special with that Reeve slider. So a great lead already by Golden Barracudas. 3 minutes left in the game here. However, can they defend a lead like this with how things have been going so far? They need to be taking full advantage of the range that they have, especially because you can see they have that splatter scope online, but they also need to be very, very cautious of how mobile that they want to be, especially because they have these 2 brushes.
Yeah, and I think that they can afford to play a little bit more recklessly there when they had that backup from that charger, which I think was really key to their first push to just kind of get some space completely uncontested. Since on the side of UT Knoxville, they don't really have any melee weapons that can deal with that impact well. But Yep is carving out the path for them forward right now. That's what they've got to be worried about at the moment. The bubble does not, though, protect them from that Izuka coming out, and now the paintbrush Lucky here going to be able to drop back in. It's just Koreki on that leader left up, and you can see there is their name swimming away to live another day and not push super far into this fight. Are there are beacons behind? Did I see that stuff? Are they going behind to try to pick up the Rainmaker?
They sure are.
I think that maybe that Kraken got up and got some. Is this the sea leader with the beacons? It is.
Yes. Yes. Look at that. All the way up in the corner. There's a beacon all the way up there, and they are utilizing it to their full advantage. Finally, though, it's been called out. However, it's a little bit too late because you can see Spect is still alive, and in fact, they are going to be placing another beacon on that jump. They are keen to it, though. You can see the Octobrush was immediate to respond and take care of the threat, but I don't think they were able to do it, Toma, because the Octobrush went down as quickly as they came in, so I believe that jumping point, yes, Koreki is still there!
That is huge for them. Koreki able to provide a great spot in there and just able to get them back in so fast. The Kraken Royale coming out. The Rainmaker is in their hands. All this space is forward, but McDonald's over drops it down and finds the pick at just the right time. But Saf, will they respawn in time to be able to stop it? It looks like they are not, as Yep is here going to be finding the lead here at 20 points. They do bring a stop to this push, but Spect is here too, just up in their base. Saf, they are just living like little rats in Golden Barracuda's home.
I have to admit, though, for the amount of time that it took for those beacons to get taken down, Golden Barracudas held on to their lead for so long. They held on to it for so long despite that, despite how close the thread was to in-house. I mean, they held on to their lead for as long as they could, and I think that they're still going to try to take this fight here, Toma. They're still going to try their best to go in and take this fight. You can see McDonald, you can see Lucky, all of them trying to respawn back in here and try to fight the Rainmaker carrier. Again, they only have 15 seconds left. There's 2 members on UT Knoxville down now. This is a good opportunity for them to try to pick up this Rainmaker and get something going, but it can be really dicey because look at Kareki. Kareki just has to take 1 shot here in order to prevent the Rainmaker carrier from doing anything major, and there you have it. So again, UT Knoxville coming in, but at the end, Toma, and swiping the lead barely from Golden Barracudas.
Oh my gosh, Saf, what an insane play there. Kareki with the beacons, Saf, was absolutely crazy. I was dumbfounded for a second because I saw the jumps go out. I was like, why are they jumping?
It's a long way. That's a long way to go with Kraken.
I was like, that doesn't make sense. I was like, why are they jumping home? And then I had the realization. Like, I was like, oh my god, they're jumping into the base. Here you kind of see the last few moments of this game as it wraps up. You see that Golden Barracudas are able to take down that Rainmaker there, but like you said, I mean, Kareki just had to look down and make sure that they were able to pick up that Rainmaker just in time. That laser just focused on it, and you can see that no one really had the pressure or the range to be able to take Kareki out in time, and that's all she wrote for that.
Yeah, you can see C-. I mean, they have to try to make an attempt, right? Like, why wouldn't you? You have to at least try. So you have to appreciate C- going in there and picking it up and just trying to maybe strafe to the side to, like, fix that and or to, you know, try to make headway on something. But, I mean, Falco, what are your thoughts? I'm curious to know what you think.
Yeah, and I kind of knew going after the set was determined, I knew that they were going to kind of meme a little bit and not take things seriously. So, you know, it's fun to watch because it's like, oh, like we're bringing out new weapons. And honestly, like for me and for you guys, it's fun to commentate on weapons that we don't get to see very often in the game too. Just say like, oh, like what's the strategy? What can we do with here? And like obviously like Kareki, you know, placing the beacons in funky spots. Like, all right, like they're trying to have fun. And hey, we had fun watching them. But for the set that mattered, for the first 4 games that we saw before it was determined, I would say that that Kutztown and Golden Barracudas, they got closer and closer and closer and better and better and better each game that went along too. That kept us on our toes. Game 3, you know, we had that weird gentleman's agreement. Thankfully, we had to have a rematch. But then also the 2 power clams. That was the only score of the game in Game 4 with 2 power clams from Knoxville, UT Knoxville. So. I would say, you know, Golden Barracudas at 1 and 2, it's going to be really hard knowing you have 2 more games this season to potentially make the playoffs. But UT Knoxville, they're done. They went 5-0 in all of their games, and they will be one of the teams to watch out in this Division 3 playoff, Saf. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. What's your final takeaway from this set?
I mean, I said it earlier, I will say it again. There is a reason that they are 5-0. There's a reason that they are 5-0. They proved it here on the screen today. They proved it in weeks past. They're going in and they're moving on to the next bit of the CCA format tournament. So that's really exciting for them. However, I do think that Golden Barracudas, like you said, you can see the progression in their games. You can see them getting better. So don't give up. Keep going, keep fighting, and just keep taking notes, keep taking takeaways, and trying to incorporate and fixing what you can.
Yeah, and Toma, like Saf said and I pointed out, it got closer and closer each game to moving upward. And I don't know if it's a difference between what modes they're playing, if they can adapt to, you know, UT Knoxville a little bit better, but they got so close. Those last 2 games pretty much came down into overtime.
Yes, they certainly did, Falco. And like you said, don't know really whether it's modes or whatnot, but I definitely think that you saw, regardless of the mode, that they were still taking notes and they were learning about how UT Knoxville played game by game. 'Cause even there in the meme games, right, you saw that things were continuously getting really close. Even that 100%. Rainmaker game, like they knew, yeah, we're here, we're having fun, but we still have notes on you. We know how you're playing, and that was really apparent as the set went on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, that's going to do it for us tonight, but keep in mind there's a triple header coming up soon on the CCA Splatoon channel. That is going to be starting at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, running all the way till I don't know when, but they're doing a triple header. I believe the Red Embers are playing 3 of their replay games this week. So it's all Red Embers. So if that's your team, feel free to go watch them, but they'll be starting very shortly. We will be back again live next week for one of the replay weeks that we have here in the CCA prior to the playoffs. So make sure you guys come back here next Sunday night. But that's going to be it for us. Saf and Toma, where can we find you guys? We'll start with Saf.
You can find me at Safirea, that's 2 P's, 2 A's, at Safirea on Twitter. You can find me sometimes running production on Sea Battle on SplatoonTourney. I don't know, I heard that maybe somewhere. I also heard that maybe my mouse ran into my keyboard and flipped through like multiple of my scenes. You have to go watch the VOD. You can also find all 3 of us at LTC in just a few weeks.
Absolutely, you can find us there, and I'll be there as well. And you can find me at Twitter at CrestofGautier or here at twitch.tv/ttoma_. And of course, our wonderful host and my co-commentator at one point tonight, Falco. How are you? Where can they find you?
You can find me back at home as I got home 2 hours ago. We were traveling from Gatlinburg and had our way home took a little bit longer than we expected, but hey, we're home now in Ohio. But you can find me on Falco Flyer on Twitch, Falco Flyer 11 on Twitter, and again here back next week for CCA, probably a replay or a reschedule week as we call it here in our league play. But that's going to be it for us tonight. We're going to hop on over to Gen Game, which is streaming the Big Dapple 4. We rated them earlier today on SplatoonTourney, but they are in their grand final, so we're going to hop over there before we go back to CCA, or before you guys go back to CCA, if you will. But thank you guys for watching. We will see you next week. Have a good one. Take care.